When the tyrant offered me a cup of deadly poisoned wine for the sake of the enchanting consort from a rival kingdom, I heard his inner thoughts. Is the strawberry flavor of the fake death potion too strong? Drink slowly, my dear, don't choke my precious darling. That stupid concubine really thinks I can't tell she's an assassin. 1. The tyrant Xiao Jin sat on the dragon throne, his gaze sinister as if ready to devour someone. In his hand he dangled a cup of highly toxic wine named Chenji. Beside him, the alluring concubine Liu Ruyan from the enemy state was playfully snuggling into his arms. Your Majesty, as the Empress, my sister has committed treason by colluding with the enemy. This cup of wine is what she deserves. Liu Ruyan's voice was sickeningly sweet, making my stomach churn. I knelt in the center of the grand hall, my back straight and unwavering. Colluding with the enemy, what a joke. My Jiyu family is full of loyal martyrs. My father and brothers all died in battle. Leaving me alone to guard this ruined harem, Xiao Jin looked at me, a cruel smile curling at the corner of his lips. Miss Jiyu, drink this, and I'll spare your corpse. I looked at the man I had loved for 10 years. My heart was as cold as ashes. Fine, let it be cold. I won't come back in the next life. I reached out and took the golden cup, preparing to drink it all in one go. Suddenly, a crisp juvenile voice cut straight into my mind. Is the strawberry flavor of the fake death potion too strong? My hand trembled, and a few drops of wine spilled out. Who is speaking? I looked around. The hall was filled with a grim atmosphere. No one dared to make a sound. The voice rang out again, carrying a hint of anxiety. Drink slowly, my dear, don't choke my precious darling. If those useless people at the Imperial Medical Bureau make the medicine too bitter, I'll chop off their heads and kick them around like balls. I looked up in terror, meeting Xiao Jin's cold and merciless eyes. His lips were tightly shut, his face full of go die, but the voice in my head was frantically flashing. Woo woo. My wife looked at me, her eyes looked so desperate. I feel so heartbroken. That stupid concubine really thinks I can't tell she's an assassin. Once I deal with those old bastards in Lugua, I'll chop this woman into pieces and feed her to the dogs. Hurry up and drink, wife. After drinking, take a nap, and when we wake up, we'll be free. I froze. This is Xiao Jin's inner thoughts. This tyrant, ruthless and merciless, has a heart of a lovesick fool. Seeing that I was still not moving, Liu Ruyan impatiently urged, Sister, are you going to wait for His Majesty to feed you himself? Xiao Jin let out a cold snort. What, do you want me to do it myself? Try touching a single finger of my wife, and I'll chop off your paws. I took a deep breath. If this is real, I raised my wine glass to my lips. A rich, sweet strawberry aroma filled my nose. It really is strawberry flavored. I tilted my head back and drank it all in one go, sweet and fizzy, with a hint of bubbles. Is this strawberry flavored sparkling water? Lady Gu, take care on your journey. Xiao Jin's voice was as cold as ice. Wife, your sleeping posture must be beautiful. Hurry, I can't wait to hug you anymore. The medicine took effect quickly. My vision went black and my body slumped down weakly. Before losing consciousness, I felt myself falling into a firm and warm embrace. The sound of Liu Ruyan's panicked scream echoed in my ears. Your Majesty, why are you holding her? Get out of the way, you ugly monster. Don't block me from holding my wife. This was the last thought I heard too. When I woke up again, everything around me was pitch black. Beneath me was a hard, narrow wooden board. I reached out and touched something overhead. A coffin. Am I really dead? No. Although the air was thin, there were still air holes left. I pushed hard, but the coffin lid didn't budge at all. Sounds of mourning came from outside. Empress, you died so tragically. The one crying the loudest was Eunuch Li, the chief eunuch who had been hoping for my death every day. Such a good performance. Suddenly, a steady sound of footsteps approached. The crying stopped instantly. Get out, all of you. Xiao Jin's voice remained gloomy and terrifying. Your Majesty, it's not proper. Get out. After a series of scrambling and crawling sounds, the mourning hall fell silent. I held my breath. The coffin lid was pushed open slightly. Light seeped in, and I saw Xiao Jin's handsome yet haggard face. His eyes were red-rimmed as he reached out to stroke my cheek. His touch was gentle, as if handling fragile porcelain. Zitong, if you leave, what meaning does my empire hold? His voice was hoarse, filled with utter despair. I was almost moved. If I hadn't heard the barrage in his mind, hey, wife's face is so soft and smooth, while it's hot. No, while she's asleep, I should touch it a few more times. This fake death pill really works. Her skin has even become tender. Those old fools must be eavesdropping outside. I need to cry louder. The next second, he suddenly let out a long howl toward the sky. Zitong. That voice was agonizing, miserable, making listeners heartbroken, causing tears to flow. I lay in the coffin, my mouth twitching uncontrollably. This man is truly wasting his talent by not becoming an actor. While wailing, he slipped his hand into my collar. My body stiffened. Pervert, don't get me wrong, I'm just checking if that heart-protecting jade is still there. Your body temperature seems a bit low. Are you cold? Let me warm you up. His palm was scorching, pressed against my chest. My heartbeat involuntarily quickened. Holy shit, my wife's heart is racing. Is she waking up? No way. If she wakes up now, we're busted. That poisonous woman Liu Ruyan is still watching outside. Honey, sleep a little longer. Tonight I'll sneak you out to eat roast chicken. Hearing about roast chicken, my stomach ungraciously growled. Xiao Jin's wailing abruptly stopped. The air fell into a deathly silence. He stared at my tightly shut eyes. Is wife hungry? Indeed, after a whole day of running around, all I had was a glass of strawberry soda. He suddenly leaned down, his warm lips brushing against my ear. Zitong. If your spirit is in heaven, send me a dream. While his words sounded sincere, his mind was screaming. Stop pretending, my dear. Your eyelashes are trembling like a sieve. Open your eyes and look at me. I specifically wore the black dragon robe you love today. Handsome, isn't it? I couldn't keep up the act any longer. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Their eyes met. Xiao Jin's face, filled with sorrow, froze and instantly switched to cold indifference. Back from the dead, he said coldly. But inside, fireworks were bursting in his heart. RRR, my wife is awake. Her eyes are so bright, like stars. I want to kiss you, want to hug you, want to lift you up high. I watched his split personality performance, holding back my laughter, and spoke in a hoarse voice. Your Majesty, I'm hungry. Xiao Jin frowned, looking disgusted. You eat like a starving ghost. Then he quickly pulled an oil paper package from his wide sleeve. It was warm and fragrant. It was exactly the roast chicken I loved most from the shop in the west of the city. Fortunately, I was prepared and kept it warm with my internal energy all along. Eat quickly. Don't get too thin from hunger. Thinness feels bad. I took the roasted chicken and took a hearty bite. So delicious. Xiao Jin had his back to me, blocking the light from the doorway and shielding all prying eyes. He was protecting me in this way. Looking at his broad back, a faint, bittersweet warmth welled up in my heart. Could it be that I've misunderstood him all these past 10 years? 3. I finished gnawing on a roasted chicken inside the coffin. Xiao Jin destroyed the bones and stuffed them into his sleeve. These bones still need to be taken back to feed the dogs. Can't leave any evidence behind. I am the mighty ruler of a nation, carrying chicken bones around. Wouldn't that ruin my dignity if word gets out? For my wife, pride means nothing. He wiped the oil off my lips, his gaze suddenly turning sharp. Lie still, someone's coming. I immediately closed my eyes and adjusted my breathing. The coffin lid was closed again, leaving only a very narrow gap. Footsteps were chaotic, accompanied by a strong scent of cosmetics. It was Liu Ruyan. Your Majesty, sister has passed. Please take care of your imperial health. Liu Ruyan's voice was so alluring it sent shivers down my spine. Get lost, Xiao Jinyang said curtly. Liu Ruyan wouldn't let it go, seemingly moving closer to the coffin. Your Majesty, I've heard that if a person is buried with a jade bead in their mouth, they'll be reborn into a good life in their next existence. I specially sought out a luminous pearl from the East Sea and wanted to gift it to my sister. I sneered inwardly, giving a pearl is just a pretense. What she really wants is to examine the body. Right, this woman is truly paranoid. Xiao Jin blocked the way in front of the coffin. No need, Your Majesty. Are you perhaps afraid that I might harm sister's remains? Liu Ruyan sobbed with grievance. I only have good intentions. Good intentions? My foot. You've smeared corpse-dissolving powder on that bead of yours. Do you really think I don't know? Want to ruin my wife's face? I'll ruin yours first, Xiao Jin. Suddenly drew his sword with a zing, a cold gleam flashed. Liu Ruyan screamed in fright and fell to the ground. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Xiao Jin's sword tip pointed straight at her throat, his gaze like that of a demon. Even my empress is someone you dare to touch. Full of murderous intent, it didn't seem feigned. Liu Ruyan trembled in fear, her face pale. I know my mistake, I know my mistake. Xiao Jin sheathed his sword and coldly said, Get out, don't dirty the empress's path of reincarnation. Liu Ruyan scrambled away in a panic. Phew, that was scary. I almost couldn't resist and just stabbed her to death right there. No, now is not the time. Liu Guo's 100,000 troops are still pressing at the border. Just endure a little longer. Once I get the military tally, I'll turn this woman into a human pig. I lay in the coffin, my heart pounding with fear. So, has the situation become this tense already? Liu Guo's army was advancing, and within the borders, a demonic concubine was causing chaos. Xiao Jin, as emperor, was not having an easy time. In order to protect me, he had no choice but to stage this fake death performance. He even endured the reputation of being a tyrant and a foolish ruler. My nose tingled with emotion. Xiao Jin, you big fool. Since you've gone to such great lengths for me, how could I let you fight alone since I'm already dead? That's perfect, the dead are the easiest to handle. I touched my sleeve, where a secret token of the GU family army was hidden. That is the last life-saving talisman left to me by my father and brother. It is also the key to mobilizing the secret guards in the capital. Liu Ruyan, you want to play? Then this princess will keep you company and have a good time. Tonight is destined to be a sleepless night. Xiao Jin kept vigil in the morning hall all night. I listened to his inner thoughts all night long, from national affairs to the cooks in the imperial kitchen, from Liu Ruyan to the ministers at the morning court. Finally, his thoughts settled on me. My wife is sleeping so soundly. I really want to give her a kiss. Just one kiss. No way, that's a corpse. Fake ones don't count either. It's kinda perverted. But her pouting lips are so cute. Whatever, I'm the tyrant. Who am I afraid of? Then, I felt a warmth on my lips. A gentle kiss, as soft as a feather, descended, carrying a careful and cherished tenderness. Good night, my queen. For the funeral was held with great pomp. I was lying inside a coffin, being carried into the imperial mausoleum. Of course, it was a dummy that entered the mausoleum. The real me was currently crouched in a corner of the imperial study, grinding ink, dressed in a dusty eunuch's uniform. Yes, I had been hidden away in a golden house by Xiao Jin, hidden in the most dangerous yet safest place, right under his nose. My name now is Little Goozy. Little Goozy. The ink is ground too thick. Xiao Jin continued to review the memorials without looking up, his tone critical. My hand paused, and I wished I could splash the ink right in his face. My wife looks good even in eunuch's attire. It's just that the clothes are too loose and don't show off her waist. Next time, I'll have someone make a tighter set. Hey, oh dear, is my wife glaring at me? Was my tone too harsh just now? I'm sorry, my dear, I was wrong. How about I kneel on a durian for you? I took a deep breath and continued grinding the ink. Hold back, this is a tyrant, you can't hit him. At that moment, a eunuch announced from outside the door, Consort Liu requests an audience. Xiao Jin frowned, a hint of disgust flashing in his eyes. Announce. Liu Ruyan swayed her hips as she walked in, carrying a bowl of ginseng soup. Your Majesty, you've been reviewing memorials all day. Have some soup to nourish your body. She walked to the desk and leaned her body against Xiao Jin. Deliberately or not, the strong scent of perfumed powder made me want to sneeze. Xiao Jin subtly avoided her without showing any reaction, coldly saying, just leave it there. Liu Ruyan refused to leave, her eyes sultry and seductive. Your Majesty, shall we rest in my palace tonight? Her hand was about to reach toward Xiao Jin's chest. The knuckles of my hand gripping the ink stick turned white. Flirting with my husband right in front of me. Do you think I'm dead? Although I am indeed a dead person now. Xiao Jin grabbed Liu Ruyan's wrist, his grip so strong it felt like he was about to crush her bones. I said, I don't have time. Liu Ruyan winced in pain, tears welling up in her eyes. Your Majesty, you're hurting me. I really feel like throwing up. What did this woman's hand touch just now? Is it poisonous? I need to wash my hands later. 10 times. My wife is watching right next to me. I must remain pure. Honey, look at me. How decisively I refused. I felt a little more at ease just then. Liu Ruyan suddenly turned her head and looked at me. Why is this little eunuch staring at me all the time? Such a lack of manners. Her gaze was sharp, as if she had sensed something. Look up. My heart tightened. Although I've changed my appearance, these eyes can't be altered if she recognizes me. Xiao Jin suddenly spoke. He is the mute eunuch I've just taken in, not very bright in the head. He casually tossed a memorial scroll onto me. Get out and kneel in punishment, you useless piece of trash. Wife, run. This crazy woman is going mad again. Go wait outside for me. Don't be afraid, I'll send her away immediately. I obediently backed out. As soon as I stepped out of the palace gate, I heard the sound of porcelain shattering inside. Then came Liu Ruyan's scream, Your Majesty, how could you treat me like this for a dead person? I lean against the wall, listening to the commotion inside. I'm calculating in my mind. Liu Ruyan is so arrogant, relying solely on the power of the Liu Kingdom. What if I could cut off her connection to the Liu Kingdom? Although the Jiyu family army has disbanded, there are still old troops stationed at the border. As long as the secret order can be sent out. Just as I was thinking this, a large hand suddenly covered my mouth. I turned around in terror. I met a pair of familiar peach blossom eyes. It was my childhood friend, now the commander of the Imperial Guards, Xie Yun. He looked at me with a complicated expression. I knew you weren't dead. I was about to struggle when I heard his inner thoughts. Great, Aining isn't dead. I knew that damn emperor couldn't bear to kill her. Since Aining isn't dead, should I continue with my rebellion plan? I widened my eyes. What, you want to rebel? How many more surprises are there in this palace that I can't even imagine? 5. Xie Yun dragged me behind the rockery. Ning, come with me, he whispered, his expression excited. I've already arranged people. Tonight, I'll get you out of the palace. I shook off his hand and took a step back. Xie Yun, what are you trying to do? Xie Yun said urgently. That tyrant Xiao Jin is unpredictable in his moods. Staying by his side will only lead to your death. That enchantress Liu Ruyan controls the court, and the great Zhu dynasty is bound to fall sooner or later. I have already contacted various feudal lords. With just one command from me, I looked at this once sunny and cheerful young man, whose eyes now burned with the flames of ambition. So, he had changed too. If I just take Anning away, I can use this as an excuse to launch a campaign against the tyrant. Then, both the empire and the beauty will be mine. Anning is so innocent, she'll definitely believe me. A chill ran through my heart. Naive in your eyes. Am I just a gullible sweetie? I sneered. Commander Xie, I think you've misunderstood. I chose to stay. Xie Yun was stunned. Why, he was about to kill you. That was just acting. I stared into his eyes. Xie Yun, the Jiyu family only remains loyal to the monarch, not to rebellious ministers. Xie Yun's expression darkened. Ning, you've changed. People change. Just at that moment, a sinister voice rang out. Commander Xie, what are you chatting with my little eunuch about here? Xiao Jin had appeared outside the rockery without anyone noticing. Dressed in black, he stood with hands clasped behind his back, his gaze sharp as a blade. Dozens of dark-clothed secret guards followed behind. Xie Yun's expression changed instantly, and he knelt down. I was reprimanding this unruly servant. Xiao Jin walked over nonchalantly and pulled me behind him. His movement was domineering, brimming with possessiveness. My servant is not for you to discipline. He looked at Xie Yun, a mocking curve lifting the corner of his mouth. If Commander Xie has too much free time, perhaps you should go guard the city gates. I hear there have been quite a few stray dogs outside the city lately. Xie Yun gritted his teeth. Your servant obeys the command. As he withdrew, he gave me a deep look. In that gaze, there was no longer admiration, but murderous intent. Since I can't have it, I'll destroy it. Jiyu Ning, don't blame me. I heard it clearly. After Xie Yun walked away, Xiao Jin turned to look at me, his face ashen. Why waste words with him? Just call for help. That scared the hell out of me. If I had been a step later, my wife would have been taken away. This Xie Yun actually dares to covet my wife, and he wants to rebel. Let's send someone to dig up his ancestral graves tonight. No, that's too immoral. Then let's steal all his underpants. So he can't attend court tomorrow. This tyrant's way of revenge is truly refreshing and unique. Your Majesty, Xie Yun has rebellious intentions, I said solemnly. Xiao Jin snorted coldly. I know, his petty schemes, I've seen through them long ago. Xiao Jin sneered. I'm keeping him alive to lure out the vassal king behind him. Actually, it's because he's your childhood friend. I was afraid you'd be sad if I killed him. Now that you've seen through his true colors, I won't hold back. He suddenly reached out and pinched my cheek. Stay away from other men from now on. Got it? Especially those who aren't as handsome as I am and have ill intentions. I pushed his hand away. Your Majesty, be serious. I am being serious. Your wife's hands are so soft. I want to kiss you. Suddenly, a commotion came from afar. Flames lit up the sky. Fire. There's a fire in the Cold Palace. The Cold Palace, isn't that where I'm lying in state, even though I've already been buried? There are still some of my old belongings there. Xiao Jin's expression changed. Oh no, that fire was set by Liu Ruyan. She wants to destroy the evidence and cut off all your escape routes. Wait, no, she's trying to lure the snake out of its hole. He suddenly looked at me. Stay close to me, don't wander off. I gazed at the distant flames, a flicker of ruthlessness flashing in my eyes. Liu Ruyan, you burned down my old home, destroying my memories. Let's settle this score right now. 6. The fire was immense, painting half the sky crimson. Liu Ruyan stood outside the blaze, laughing so hard she trembled like a flower in the wind. Oh dear, the weather is so dry, how did it catch fire? She watched Xiao Jin rushing over and feigned surprise. Your Majesty, why have you come? It's dangerous here. Xiao Jin ignored her, his gaze fixed intently on the sea of flames. He was playing the role of a husband who had lost his beloved wife, consumed by grief and rage. Extinguish the fire. Put out the fire for me, he roared. Palace attendants carried buckets of water back and forth. Liu Ruyan walked to Xiao Jin's side, feigning comfort. Your Majesty, my sister's spirit in heaven surely wouldn't want you to grieve over a few old clothes. Old clothes? Xiao Jin suddenly turned his head, his gaze fierce. There was her favorite zither inside. And our wedding attire. Although we kept cold faces throughout that grand wedding, neither of us spoke to the other, but I know he's kept it all along. I secretly hid that wedding robe in a hidden compartment. It shouldn't burn. But that zither, that's my wife's favorite Jiaowei zither. Liu Ruyan, just you wait for me. At that moment, a man in black suddenly rushed out from the sea of flames, holding a sharp blade. He charged straight toward Xiao Jin. Dog Emperor, come and meet your end. It's an assassin, and not just one. Suddenly, dozens of men in black emerged from all around, killing anyone they saw. The scene instantly descended into chaos. Protect the Emperor. Protect the Emperor. Eunuch Li screamed as he ducked under the table. Most of the Imperial Guards had been transferred by Xie Yun, and the few remaining couldn't hold their ground. Xiao Jin shoved Liu Ruyan aside and shielded me behind him. Stay low. He drew the soft sword from his waist and charged forward. The sword gleamed like a rainbow, each strike deadly. I hid behind the stone pillar, watching him fight through the crowd. Blood stained his dragon robe. Holy crap, these people are ruthless. How dare they hit my face? If my handsome looks get ruined and my wife doesn't like me anymore, what should I do? The one on the left, don't sneak attack my waist. I need to save my waist to serve my wife. What kind of time is this? And is still thinking about such nonsense. I could only watch helplessly. Suddenly, I saw Liu Ruyan taking advantage of the chaos to hide behind the rockery. She was holding a small crossbow in her hand, aiming straight at Xiao Jin's back. This wicked woman, not only do you want to kill me, but you won't even spare Xiao Jin. Indeed, by killing Xiao Jin, she can install a puppet on the throne and completely control the great Jew. Xiao Jin, watch your back. I couldn't care less about exposing my identity and shouted out loud at the same time. I grabbed a stone from the ground and hurled it fiercely at Liu Ruyan. Bang! The stone hit Liu Ruyan right on the wrist. The crossbow bolt veered off course, narrowly flying past Xiao Jin's arm. Xiao Jin groaned and glanced back, seeing it was me. A flash of surprise appeared in his eyes, followed by overwhelming anger. Wife, save me. My wife actually risked everything for me. Touched to tears. But, Liu Ruyan, you're courting death. He no longer held back. his swordsmanship becoming incredibly fierce. In just a few breaths, the assassins were all felled. The rest, seeing the situation turning bad, wanted to retreat, not a single one left alive. Xiao Jin coldly ordered. The shadow guards swarmed forward. The battle ended. Xiao Jin threw away the sword in his hand and strode toward me. His arm was still bleeding, but he paid no attention to it. "Are you hurt?" He grabbed my shoulders, looking me up and down. I shook my head. "I'm fine. But your hand?" "Minor injury. It hurts like hell." "This arrow is poisoned." Feeling a bit dizzy. "No, can't collapse in front of my wife. That would be too embarrassing." "Hold on, Xiao Jin, you're the best." His body swayed, his face pale. "Xiao Jin." I hurriedly supported him. He collapsed into my arms, his lips turning purple. "Don't be afraid." He weakly smiled. "I won't die. If only I could take the chance to get a kiss, strawberry flavored." I looked at his unconscious face, and tears fell down. By this point, I was still thinking about the strawberry flavor. I lowered my head and kissed his cold lips. "Here you go, strawberry flavor." I'm not sure if it was an illusion, but I felt his lips twitch slightly upward. 7. Xiao Jin has been poisoned. The poison is the secret medicine of Liu State. See blood and seal the throat, and only Liu Ruyan has the antidote. The old men of the Imperial Medical Bureau are at a loss, only kneeling on the ground and kowtowing, shouting, "I am guilty." I sit by the dragon bed, watching Xiao Jin's tightly closed eyes. His face was ashen, his breath faint. The inner monologue in his mind also became intermittent. "Wife, don't cry. I'm fine. It's just a bit sleepy." I wiped away my tears. What's the use of crying? Can crying bring out the antidote? The current situation is fraught with internal and external troubles. As soon as the news of Xiao Jin's unconsciousness spreads, Xie Yun and the regional princes will immediately rise in rebellion. Liu Ruyan will also seize the opportunity to seize power. I must stabilize the situation. I stood up and adjusted my eunuch attire. From this moment on, I am neither Empress Jiyu Ning nor the little eunuch Xiao Guzi. I am Xiao Jin's spokesperson. I walked out of the inner chamber. Eunuch Li stood guard at the door, his face filled with anxiety. "Little Guzi, how is His Majesty?" I looked at him coldly. "His Majesty is just tired and is resting. No one is to disturb him." Eunuch Li was taken aback, but the imperial physician said, "The imperial physician is old and his eyes are failing. He made a mistake." I took out that secret token of the Jiyu family army and waved it in front of him. Eunuch Li's pupils suddenly contracted. "This is..." "Eunuch Li is a smart man. You should know what to do." Eunuch Li immediately knelt down. "This servant understands. His Majesty is in good health, just caught a slight chill." Dealing with Eunuch Li, next is Liu Ruyan. This woman must be waiting for news of Xiao Jin's death from poisoning. I must take the initiative. I took a few trusted secret guards and headed straight for the consort's palace. Liu Ruyan was sitting in front of the mirror doing her makeup, looking in a very good mood. Seeing me burst in, she raised her willow-like eyebrows sharply. "How dare you, slave, who allowed you to enter?" Without wasting words, I had the hidden guard pin her to the ground. "What are you doing?" "I am the imperial consort. I demand to see His Majesty." I walked up to her, looking down at her from above. "Imperial consort. His Majesty has sent me to retrieve something." "What things?" "Antidote." Liu Ruyan's eyes flickered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You don't know." I smiled, drew the dagger, and pressed it against her face. This face is really well maintained. I wonder if His Majesty would still spare it a glance if it were scarred. Liu Ruyan screamed, "How dare you? I am the Princess of Liu Kingdom. This is the imperial palace of the Great Jew, not your Liu Kingdom." I applied slight pressure with my wrist, and the sharp blade cut through her skin. Blood oozed out. Liu Ruyan was terrified. "No, don't do it. I'll give it. She tremblingly took a pill from her hairpin. "This is the antidote. Stop my bleeding. Hurry and stop my bleeding." I took the pill and sniffed it. There is indeed a strange fragrance, but I dare not easily give it to Xiao Jin to eat. "Swallow it," I command. "What is it?" "Swallow half of this pill." Liu Ruyan widened her eyes. "This medicine is very precious. Only one pill, then swallow 1/3. Without giving her a chance to speak, I broke off a small piece and shoved it into her mouth. Liu Ruyan was forced to swallow. After a while, aside from her pale complexion, she showed no signs of poisoning. It seems to be true. I took the remaining antidote and turned to leave. Behind me, Liu Ruyan's hysterical roar echoed, "Little eunuch, I will kill you. I must kill you." I sneered, "Let's talk about it when you survive tonight." Back in the sleeping quarters, I fed the antidote to Xiao Jin. A moment later, his breathing became much steadier, and his complexion gradually turned rosy. The barrage of comments in my mind became active again. So bitter. Who fed me shit? Her. The smell of my wife. Even the shit fed by my wife smells sweet. Me. This person is beyond saving. 8. Xiao Jin woke up, but he decided to keep pretending to be dead. Since they all think I'm about to die, I'll give them a surprise. He leaned against the headboard, drinking the porridge I fed him while scheming. This porridge is really delicious. My wife made it herself. Actually, it's a bit salty. But I can't say that. It's my wife's first time cooking. I must encourage her. Is it delicious? I asked. A heavenly delicacy, Xiao Jin said without changing expression. I took a sip. It was salty to the point of bitterness. This man doesn't speak a single truthful word. Xie Yun has already assembled 50,000 troops stationed outside the city. I got down to business. Liu State's army has also begun attacking the border. The situation is very serious. Xiao Jin put down his bowl, a glint of sharpness flashing in his eyes. Scared? Not at all. I held his hand. At worst, it's just death. Death. Nonsense. I haven't even had kids with you yet. He gripped my hand back, his fingertips caressing the palm of my hand. I've already made arrangements. Tonight, they will force a palace coup. When the time comes, we'll catch them in a trap. Actually, I'm not really sure either. If we lose, I'll just run away with my wife. I've hidden a vault in the south of the Yangtze River, enough for us to spend several lifetimes. When the time comes, we'll buy a big mansion and have a bunch of kids. I couldn't help but laugh. This tyrant has even planned his retreat. Sure enough, as expected at nightfall, deafening cries of battle echoed from outside the palace. Xie Yun rebelled. He led an army of 50,000, breached the palace gates, and advanced straight toward the Yangshan Hall. Liu Ruyan also led her loyal followers, setting fires throughout the palace to create chaos. Corrupt ruler, no way. Purge the ruler's side, kill the tyrant, the slogans echoed loudly. Xiao Jin and I sat atop the grand hall. He wore the imperial robes. Though his face was pale, his imperial aura remained undiminished. I stood by his side, still dressed in a eunuch's uniform. The doors of the grand hall were forced open. Xie Yun, clad in military attire, strode in with a blood-stained sword in hand. Behind him followed a dense crowd of soldiers. Liu Ruyan followed behind, her face beaming with pride. Xiao Jin, your end has come. Xie Yun pointed his sword at the dragon throne. Xiao Jin looked at him indifferently, as if observing a clown. Xie Yun, I have treated you well. Why rebel? Treating me well? Xie Yun sneered. You stole the woman I loved most, and now you want to kill me to silence me. Is this what you call treating me well? A Ning was always mine. You were the one who stole her from me. I couldn't help but speak up. Xie Yun, how long are you going to keep deceiving yourself? It was you who abandoned me for your career back then, pushing me into the imperial palace yourself. Now you're pretending to be affectionate again. Xie Yun's expression changed. Aining, you. He didn't expect me to expose him in public. Liu Ruyan grew impatient. Why waste words with them? Kill the dog emperor, and the world will be ours. She looked at me, her eyes filled with venom. And this little eunuch, strip his skin off and make me a lantern. Xiao Jin's gaze turned cold. Want to skin my wife? I see you're tired of living. He slowly stood up and patted his hands. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. The words had just left her mouth. Suddenly, several iron bars descended from around the great hall, trapping everyone inside. Immediately after, the palace roof shattered open, and countless dark-clad guards descended from the sky at the same time. Uniform footsteps echoed from outside the palace. It's the Jiyu family's army. The secret order I sent has taken effect. The old members of the Jiyu family have long been lurking in the capital, waiting only for this moment. Xie Yun's face changed dramatically. How is this possible? The Jiyu family's army was disbanded long ago. I took off the eunuch hat, letting my long hair fall loose. The spirit of the Jiyu family's army will never perish. as long as there is one person left in the Gu family. The Gu family army remains. Xie Yun looked at me, his eyes filled with despair and disbelief. Aining, you actually sided with this tyrant against me. Xiao Jin wrapped his arm around my waist, smirking arrogantly. Sorry, she's my empress now, and I'm not a tyrant, I'm a husband obsessed with spoiling his wife. I've practiced this line for so long. Isn't it cool, honey? Praise me quickly. 9. The situation instantly reversed. Xie Yun's troops were trapped like fish in a barrel and quickly collapsed. The loyal followers brought by Liu Ruyan were also cleared out by the secret guards. Xiao Jin, you're treacherous. Xie Yun, pinned to the ground, roared with indignation. Xiao Jin looked down at him from above. All is fair in war, General Xie. Don't you even understand this basic principle? Liu Ruyan collapsed on the ground, her hair disheveled, having long lost the arrogance she displayed earlier. Your Majesty, spare my life, spare my life. I was forced into this. She crawled over to hug Xiao Jin's leg. Xiao Jin kicked her away in disgust. Were you forced? Then was the poison also administered under duress? Was the fire also set under duress? Liu Ruyan, do you really think I'm a fool? That kick felt great. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. If I weren't afraid of dirtying my shoes, I'd have kicked a few more times. Just as we thought the situation was settled, an unexpected change occurred. Chancellor Zhao Jiao, who had been silent all along, suddenly pulled out a flare from his sleeve and threw it into the sky. Bang! Red fireworks exploded in the night sky. No good. There are hidden troops. I thought in alarm. Zhao Jiao laughed wildly. Xiao Jin, do you think this is the end? The Empress Dowager had long anticipated your move. The real killing blow is yet to come. As the signal flare rose into the sky, a deafening rumble suddenly echoed from deep within the palace. It's gunpowder. They've buried gunpowder in the palace. Boom! The great hall began to shake, and rubble fell. Protect His Majesty. The hidden guards were thrown into chaos. Xiao Jin's expression changed abruptly, and he immediately shielded me in his embrace. Go, take the secret passage. He pulled me toward the mechanism behind the dragon throne. Want to run? It's not that easy. Zhao Jiao pulled out a firearm from who knows where, aiming it at Xiao Jin. Go to hell. Bang! A gunshot rang out. In this age of cold weapons, firearms were simply a dimensionally superior weapon. There was no time to dodge. My mind went blank, and I instinctively wanted to shield Xiao Jin, but Xiao Jin was faster than me. He turned abruptly, using his back to block the gun muzzle. Phut! The sound of a bullet entering flesh. Xiao Jin's body stiffened, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Xiao Jin, I screamed at the top of my lungs. It hurts. It really fucking hurts. Honey, don't look, you'll get scared. Luckily, it didn't hit you. He collapsed limply to the ground. Zhao Jiao laughed triumphantly. Ha ha ha. The tyrant is dead. The great Jew belongs to us now. I held Xiao Jin in my arms, my hands covered in blood. Anger, despair, and hatred instantly overwhelmed me. Zhao Jiao, I picked up the sword from the ground and charged at Zhao Jiao like a madman. Before Zhao Jiao could react, I pierced his throat with a single stab. His eyes widened as he died. Unable to believe what had happened, I drew my sword and slashed at the rebels again. Kill, 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 I will kill them all. To accompany Xiao Jin in death, I was like a demon crawling out of hell, covered in blood, until a pair of warm hands grabbed my wrist. Ninga, don't kill. It was Xiao Jin. He's not dead yet. I threw away my sword and rushed to his side. Xiao Jin, are you okay? Don't scare me. Xiao Jin weakly opened his eyes, a trail of blood still clinging to the corner of his mouth. I am wearing a soft armor vest. I won't die. It's just that it seems like 2 ribs are broken. It hurts like hell. I need comfort. I need a kiss. I couldn't help but laugh and cry, my face covered in tears and snot. Damn it. Why didn't you say you were wearing a bulletproof vest earlier? Made me worry for nothing. However, just being alive is enough. As long as he lives, what do these lands and this world matter? After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. Before Chang Yuheng set off for battle, I grabbed his ear and warned him not to bring back any shady women when he returned. Who would have thought that despite his promises, on the day of his triumphant return, he still brought back a woman. "Darling, I didn't mean to," Chang Yuheng, who had been speaking confidently with his subordinates, instantly shrank like a cat seeing a tiger the moment he laid eyes on me. He cautiously leaned in, wanting to explain something to me. I remained silent, only watching him with a cold smile. Chang Yuheng's face paled in shock, and he instantly shrank back, not daring to say another word. "Sister." The woman whom Chang Yuheng brought back from the frontier stepped forward timidly, trembling like a frightened little white rabbit. Her plain yet stunning face was etched with the word pitiful. Not just men, even I, as a woman, felt an urge to protect her. I narrowed my eyes, sizing her up from head to toe, then glanced at the several generals standing behind her. They were all Chang Yuheng's longtime subordinates, men who had fought their way through the battlefield, but at this moment, they don't dare to meet my gaze, each one looking guilty, clearly hiding something from me, and the only thing they would hide from me is something related to Chang Yuheng. Thinking of this, I shoot a cold glare at Chang Yuheng beside me, as if sensing my murderous gaze. Chang Yuheng shudders all over, shrinking his neck even further. Seeing him so henpecked, I actually laughed. I even asked him with great delight who this woman was. "She's a herb gatherer from the border town, named Lin Wn. Her family died in the war many years ago, leaving her all alone," Chang Yuheng explained softly from behind me. The voice wasn't loud, but it was just enough for everyone in the courtyard to hear clearly. "Oh, if she's a herb gatherer from the border town, why did she come back with you? If her family died in the war many years ago, what connection could she possibly have with Chang Yuheng? Surely Chang Yuheng didn't bring her back just because he pitied her for being alone. Don't forget, she's been living alone for years, gathering herbs in the border town. She definitely has the ability to live on her own." Chang Yuheng swallowed hard, his gaze somewhat evasive. His guilty demeanor seemed like he was preparing to lie, yet afraid I wouldn't believe him. I narrowed my eyes, a warning flashing in my gaze. Actually, when I was injured in the border town, she saved me, so, you understand." Chang Yuheng finished in one breath, then abruptly took a step back, his face filled with terror as he stared at the spot where he had just been standing. A meteor hammer had fallen there. The force was so great that it directly shattered the floor tiles. I dared not imagine how loudly Chang Yuheng would have screamed if he hadn't dodged it. I shook my sleeves, turned around, and with a look as if nothing had happened, I smiled kindly at Lin Wn standing before me. "It turns out it was Miss Lin who saved my husband. I am truly grateful. Since Miss Lin is my husband's lifesaver, we should repay you properly." With that, I quickly stepped forward. Before Lin Wn could retreat in alarm, I took her hand with one hand and placed the other on her shoulder, acting intimately. "Just now, I heard you call me sister, so you must be younger than me. In that case, I'll call you Sister Lin. You must be exhausted after traveling all the way to the capital with the army, Sister Lin. I'll have someone prepare a meal and a room for you right away, so you can rest well." I half-guided, half-supported Lin Wn as we walked toward the inner hall. Passing by Chang Yuheng, I deliberately stepped on his foot as if by accident. Still recovering from the shock, Chang Yuheng let out a sharp cry of pain, clutching his foot and hopping in place. After settling Lin Wn, I returned to my bedroom with a dark expression on my face. Chang Yuheng had been waiting inside for some time, pacing back and forth restlessly. When he saw me enter, he seemed startled and immediately froze in place. Not daring to move, I didn't look at him, just flicked my hand, and the door behind me slammed shut with a bang. Still shaken, Chang Yuheng glanced at the closed door, then cautiously approached me and eagerly poured a glass of water. Come, my lady, have some water. Hihi, drink up." I didn't take the water from him. Instead, I turned my head and stared at him. Though Chang Yuheng was quite frightened, he still hunched his shoulders and met my gaze. After a long while, I finally looked away. "I'm certain Chang Yuheng hasn't done anything to betray me. He wouldn't dare, and his eyes tell me he hasn't." "Sit down." Although I'm sure Chang Yuheng hasn't betrayed me, there are still many things that need to be resolved. Chang Yuheng was also well aware, sitting obediently in front of me, looking as if he was waiting for me to interrogate him. "Go ahead." I picked up the teacup, took a leisurely sip of tea, and waited for his explanation, seeing that my emotions were stable. Chang Yuheng finally showed a smile on his face. He said that after defeating the enemy forces, Chang Yuheng was ambushed on his way back to the border city. During the retreat, Chang Yuheng was unexpectedly injured, fell down a steep slope, and was buried under leaves, which fortunately allowed him to hide, but at that time, he was seriously injured and unable to move. Venturing out recklessly would have meant certain death, so he decided to continue lying low. I lay low until nightfall. "My dear wife, you have no idea, your husband almost didn't make it," Chang Yuheng said with deliberate exaggeration, his every movement, tone, and expression radiating an air of someone begging to be punched, but I knew he was telling the truth. That's just how he is every time. He uses this kind of act to cover up the fact that he nearly died. I know he's afraid I'll worry, and afraid I'll feel heartache for him, but he didn't know that even though he spoke lightly, my heart still tightened. If it weren't for that damned imperial decree, I would never have let Chang Yuheng suffer all this. At this thought, a wave of irritation rose in my heart, deepening my resentment toward the one in the palace. Chang Yuheng didn't notice the coldness in my eyes and continued speaking. When he was about to fall into a coma from excessive blood loss, it was Lin Wn, who was gathering herbs, who found him. Not only did Lin Wn help Chang Yuheng stop the bleeding, but she also used the herbs she had painstakingly gathered on him. She was so small and thin, yet surprisingly strong. She dragged me down the mountain like that. Thankfully, the enemy troops had already been wiped out by our forces, or it would have been even worse. Even though a month had passed, Chang Yuheng still felt a shiver of fear when he recalled the incident. I listened quietly to his words, and my hostility towards Lin Wn diminished considerably. Regardless of her purpose in following Chang Yuheng to the capital, she was his savior, an undeniable fact, and I should be grateful to her. Chang Yuheng continued speaking. Lin Wn took the injured Chang Yuheng back to her home, spent money to hire a doctor, bought medicine, and carefully nursed him back to health. Chang Yuheng, upon waking, also gave Lin Wn a sum of money to repay her for saving his life. Later, Lin Wn heard that Chang Yuheng was a general and expressed her admiration for him. Upon learning that Chang Yuheng was returning to the capital to report on his mission, Lin Wn said with great longing, "The capital must be so prosperous. I really wish I could go and see it." And straightforward Chang Yuheng waved his hand grandly. "What's so difficult about that? Since Miss Lin wants to go to the capital, just come with us." And so, Lin Wn followed Chang Yuheng to the capital. After finishing his story, Chang Yuheng looked at me somewhat cautiously, as if afraid I might get angry. I shot him an annoyed glare. If that's the case, why wasn't it mentioned in the letter that was sent back? Ever since Chang Yuheng went off to war, we've been exchanging letters. It was a promise we made to each other to ensure each other's safety, and before he returned to the capital, he sent me a letter. Even when he was almost at the capital, he sent another one, but aside from sickeningly sweet words of affection, those two letters said nothing at all. Well, ahem. Chang Yuheng turned his face away somewhat unnaturally, feigned a cough, and a blush spread across his cheeks. "I just missed you so much that I forgot." As he spoke, he quietly moved closer to me, his fingers hooking onto the hem of my clothes. Seeing that I didn't refuse, a look of delight flashed across Chang Yuheng's face, and he took advantage of the situation to scoop me up into his arms, walking towards the bed while muttering, "It's been so long, my dear wife, I've missed you to death." He said it like an old scoundrel, and I couldn't help but raise my hand to give him a light slap. I didn't use much force. Chang Yuheng chuckled and placed me on the bed, and I let him press down on me. In the middle of the night, I woke from my sleep to find the space beside me empty. I sat up and reached out to feel the spot. It was already cold to the touch. Not knowing when Chang Yuheng had gotten up, I rose, draped a robe over myself, and opened the window. The apricot tree outside the window was tousled by the wind, its leaves swaying. Shadows of leaves flickered, yet the courtyard was empty. Chang Yuheng was not there. Frowning, I walked out. It's so late. Where Chang Yuheng would go and what he would do, one can guess without even thinking, but precisely because I can guess, I feel even more uncomfortable. My heart feels stifled. The vexed mood left me in no state to walk over slowly. With a surge of energy, I leaped directly onto the roof. After a few jumps, I arrived at the courtyard previously arranged for Lin Wn. It was already late at night, and the light in her room was still on, with faint voices drifting out. I stood on an apricot tree in the courtyard, peering through the window at the two people sitting opposite each other inside. Chang Yuheng had his back to the door, while Lin Wn sat across from him, looking rather aggrieved. "Don't blame her," a gentle breeze carried a voice, that of Chang Yuheng. He was comforting Lin Wn. This scene was quite reminiscent of those found in storybooks. The general returns from the campaign with a little white lotus. The lawful wife at home cannot tolerate the little white lotus, so the little white lotus deliberately puts on a pitiful act to arouse the general's pity, using it as a reason to divorce the lawful wife. At this thought, a pang of bitterness welled up in my heart, and I felt a deep sympathy for the wronged wife in the story. And now, this very scene, which should only exist in a storybook, was unfolding right before my eyes. Yet, I felt little sorrow in my heart. Instead, I was somewhat embarrassed. Inside the room, Lin Wn, her face full of grievance, sobbed as she tore into a large chicken leg with gusto, while her other hand busily reached for more dishes. Her eyes held only a longing for food, with not the slightest hint of wanting to compete for the position of wife. Anyone who saw her would find it hard to raise their guard. Slow down, take your time, all of this is yours, and there's more if it's not enough." Chang Yuheng's words came through with a hint of gritted teeth. Just from the sound of his voice, one could imagine the expression on his face. It must have been conflicted, unsure whether to advise her or simply keep quiet. Not long after these words were spoken, Lin Wn, who had been stuffing food into her mouth, suddenly paused and let out a hiccup. Chang Yuheng and I were both taken aback for a moment, as one hiccup after another echoed in the air. Chang Yuheng snapped back to reality and hurriedly poured her a glass of water. Lin Wn drank too quickly and choked herself, her face turning red from coughing. Yet she still refused to put down the chicken leg in her hand. As soon as she caught her breath, she couldn't wait to continue eating, though this time she slowed down a little. Watching her like this, Chang Yuheng sighed. "Eat first, if it's not enough, just have the servants bring more from the kitchen." Lin Wn, her mouth stuffed full, nodded gratefully toward him. "I'm heading back first." Chang Yuheng felt a bit uneasy, so he turned back to add a reminder, "Don't eat too much so late at night, it's easy to get indigestion." With that, Chang Yuheng left. I watched Lin Wn eating with such focus inside the room, unable to put into words what I was feeling. "Tomorrow, I'll have the servants prepare more food for Lin Wn." When I returned to the main courtyard, I saw Chang Yuheng sneaking in. He crept in quietly, glancing left and right as he closed the door, looking every bit like a thief. I leaned against the door with my arms crossed, quietly watching his stealthy movements. Chang Yuheng, who thought he hadn't been noticed, turned around and saw me standing at the door, letting out a sharp scream. A few birds outside the courtyard were startled and flew away. I covered his mouth, placing my index finger to my lips, signaling him not to cry out. Although Chang Yuheng stopped his cries, he still looked utterly terrified, his voice trembling as he spoke. Wife, you." I paid him no mind, taking his hand and leading him back to the bedroom. "Where have you been running off to so late at night? Go back to bed quickly, aren't you tired?" Chang Yuheng opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but stopped himself. He knew my temperament well. By saying this, I was telling him that I knew exactly what he had been up to. We slept in each other's arms for the night. The next morning, Chang Yuheng uncharacteristically slept in. Perhaps his tightly wound nerves had finally relaxed, or perhaps it was the exhaustion from the journey, but he slept exceptionally soundly. Chang Yuheng slept until noon, until Eunuch Li, who had come to summon him to the palace, had been waiting for him in the side hall for a full 2 hours. I sat in the side hall, keeping Eunuch Li company while drinking tea and eating pastries. They just wouldn't let anyone go wake Chang Yuheng up. Eunuch Li was sitting on pins and needles beside me. He didn't dare drink any more tea. He'd been holding it in for a while, and with me sitting here, he didn't dare mention needing to use the restroom. As for the pastries, eating them dry was too much of a chore, better to just skip them. He actually wanted me to go and urge Chang Yuheng, But every time he met my seemingly smiling yet not quite smiling eyes, he didn't dare to speak. After all, the woman beside him was bold enough to slap the emperor across the face. As lunchtime approached, Chang Yuheng still hadn't gotten up, but Lin Wn walked in instead. "Good morning, sister." Last night's midnight snack didn't seem to affect Lin Wn at all. She greeted me with a faint smile. I nodded to her, motioning for her to take a seat, and then introduced Eunuch Li to her. Upon hearing that he was from the palace, a look of surprise flashed across Lin Wan's face. She hurriedly rose to perform a formal greeting, but I stopped her. "You are a guest of my general's residence. There's no need to be so restrained. Please, make yourself at home." Lin Wn hesitated at my words, nodding carefully and stealing a glance at Eunuch Li beside her. Seeing no sign of displeasure on his face, she quietly let out a sigh of relief. Eunuch Li sized up Lin Wn, a glint of shrewdness flashing in his eyes, as if he were hatching some new scheme. "Madam Du, who might this be?" he asked me in a strained voice, his eyes lingering on Lin Wn. "She is the general's savior." I set down the teacup in my hand, not intending to say more, but Eunuch Li seemed to have discovered a new world, letting out a sound of sudden realization. "Oh Tilda, so it's the general's life-saving benefactor." That shrill voice was unbearable for anyone not accustomed to it. Lin Wn couldn't stand it either, shuddering all over as if struck by electricity, her body stiffening. Another quarter of an hour passed, and Chang Yuheng still hadn't arrived. Eunuch Li was anxiously watching the sun outside, wanting to urge me but not daring to speak, clearly struggling to hold back. Not only was he uncomfortable, but Lin Wn, sitting nearby, also seemed uneasy. She slightly furrowed her brows, glancing toward the door from time to time, her hands resting in front of her, quietly pressing against her stomach, rubbing gently as if she were feeling unwell. My lowered gaze lifted, and upon noticing her subtle movements, I suddenly realized something. It's already noon. Miss Lin must be hungry, right? Upon hearing my words, a flicker of delight crossed Lin Wan's face, and she nearly nodded eagerly, but with Eunuch Li present, she could only restrain herself, swallowing her saliva as she gave me a subtle nod. It was my oversight in hospitality. I gave her an apologetic smile, then turned to instruct the maid to take her to eat. Lin Wn was initially a bit hesitant, feeling it would be impolite to go eat alone. But upon seeing my reassuring look, Lin Wn immediately followed the maid to eat. In an instant, the room was left with only me and Eunuch Li. Eunuch Li sat with unease, perhaps due to the heat, as beads of sweat trickled down his forehead. Just as he shakily raised his hand to wipe it away, someone walked in through the door. "Darling Tilda, I'm hungry Tilda." Before the person even entered, a clingy, coquettish voice drifted in first. Just as he was showing a look of pleasant surprise, Eunuch Li's expression changed upon hearing his voice, his face full of embarrassment. Chang Yuheng looked as if he hadn't fully woken up yet, his eyes dazed, his clothes haphazardly thrown on. He stumbled over to my side and, without really seeing clearly, wrapped his arms around me in a hug. With a long leg swinging over, he sat down smoothly, clinging to me like a koala. Although Eunuch Li had long been aware of Chang Yuheng's fondness for me, he was still taken aback by the scene before him, his eyes widening in shock as he turned his face away in alarm. "The kitchen has prepared the meal. Let's go have something to eat later." I patted his back and whispered a gentle reminder in his ear. "After lunch, follow Eunuch Li into the palace. Don't keep that person waiting." Eunuch Li sat to the side, listening to every word I said, secretly curling his lip in disdain. "The one in the palace has been waiting since morning, and it's been no short wait." Chang Yuheng, whether he heard what I said or not, still clung to me, refusing to move. I didn't bother calling him again, simply picked him up and stood. "I'll take him to eat first. Please wait here for a moment." Eunuch Li, after saying that, without paying any further attention to Eunuch Li, I carried Chang Yuheng, who clung to me like a koala, and left. By the time we arrived, Lin Wn had already finished her meal and returned to her room to rest. After coaxing Chang Yuheng into finishing his meal, I took him back to the bedroom to change his clothes. "All right, go ahead." I looked with satisfaction at the handsome man before me, feeling a surge of pride in my heart. Such a handsome man, capable of fighting on the battlefield and charming in the drawing room. is mine. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Chang Yuheng, now fully awake, was a completely different person from his groggy self just moments before. He no longer clung to me lazily but instead kissed my forehead with a rather steady demeanor. I'm off, my dear. Only after seeing me nod did he turn and follow Eunuch Li onto the carriage bound for the palace. After seeing him off, I turned back to the mansion and happened to run into Lin Wn. Thinking of what happened yesterday, I felt a bit embarrassed. I must have been reading too many storybooks lately, not only labeling Miss Lin as a wicked little white lotus but also not letting her eat her fill. What a sin, what a sin. Thinking of this, wanting to make up for something, I walked toward Lin Wn. Miss Lin, sister. Oh, no, I should call you sister-in-law. Lin Wn corrected herself somewhat awkwardly, appearing quite guileless. I smiled at her and affectionately took her hand. Call me whatever you like. I heard from Yuheng that you wanted to see the sights of the capital. How about I take you out for a stroll later? Hearing that she could go out for a stroll, Lin Wan's eyes lit up with delight. Really, thank you, sister-in-law. Her smile was as radiant as a child's, this innocent and sunny demeanor making her utterly endearing. I had the maid prepare a carriage and took Lin Wn to the market streets. Along the way, Lin Wn was repeatedly astonished by the capital's bustling prosperity, exclaiming in wonder time and again. The coachman found a suitable spot to stop the carriage. Lin Wn and I got out and strolled leisurely through the market. She looked around curiously, interested in everything and delighted by it all. I walked beside her, watching her as if she were my little sister. For some reason, a sense of comfort rose in my heart. As we were strolling, we suddenly heard a commotion of arguing up ahead. Walking over, I discovered it was a rouge shop where two women were having a fierce argument over a box of blush. Lin Wn curiously peeked in but didn't dare to step inside. I asked her if she wanted to go in and take a look, but she quickly shook her head in refusal. Let's not go in, sister-in-law. Those two look like young ladies from wealthy families. What if we end up upsetting them? I had intended to take her inside to watch the play, but upon hearing her say that, I simply nodded and didn't go in. Though I didn't want to go in, someone insisted on making me enter. Oh Tilda, who do we have here? If it isn't our general's wife. The unpleasant voice came from behind me. I didn't even need to turn around to know who it was. The concubine of the Prince of Qing's household, Zhong Niaonienio, was another woman who had never seen eye to eye with me since childhood. I couldn't help but look up at the sky, feeling that not checking the almanac before leaving the house today was my biggest mistake. As I was thinking this, Zhong Niaonienio had already swayed her slender waist, pushed through the crowd, and arrived by my side. She glanced sideways, sizing me up from head to toe, then looked at Lin Wn beside me, as if having discovered something extraordinary. She raised her voice and said, "Oh my goodness, I heard yesterday that General Chang brought back a woman from the border town. I thought it was just a rumor, but I never expected it to be true." Zhong Niaonienio circled around to stand in front of me, sizing up Lin Wn from head to toe before bursting into a laugh. "She truly is a stunning beauty." Then, she turned her head to look at me. "Isn't it said that General Chang is a devoted man, loyal only to his own wife? How come he brought back a girl after just one trip to the border town? It seems to me that you're nothing more than that." Zhong Niaonienio's scornful words were laced with barbs as she shot me a disdainful glance. Those around her heard her words and turned to look, whispering among themselves. Even the two who had been arguing fiercely over a box of rouge moments ago fell silent. They all turned their eyes toward me, as if waiting to see me make a fool of myself. I stood there, letting them watch, not saying a word, only smiling at Zhong Niaonienio. The concubine of the Prince of Qing's household holds little status and, by convention, should bow upon seeing me. Yet Zhong Niaonienio, relying on her father's position as the Prime Minister, has repeatedly shown me disrespect, even going so far as to provoke me with her words. Perhaps it's time to have a word with her father. Just as I was thinking this, the person beside me suddenly stepped forward, shielding me. "Sister, are you talking about General Chang?" Lin Wn looked innocently at Zhong Niaonienio, asking earnestly. Zhong Niaonienio had no idea what she was up to, simply thinking she was a fool. If not him, then who else? Could it be she's also involved with some other general? Ha 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 ha. Slap. a crisp sound of a slap rang out, followed by the disappearance of all other noises. Everyone stared at Lin Wn in shock, and Zhong Niaonianio was no exception. They couldn't believe it. A little girl from the border town actually dared to lay hands on the concubine of the Qing prince's mansion. I was shocked too. Lin Wn, who had just been afraid of getting involved in the dispute between the two young ladies from wealthy families, actually dared to slap Zhong Niaonianio. You. Zhong Niaonianio was so furious that she pointed at Lin Wn. Unable to utter a word for a long while, Lin Wn reached out and pinched her fingertip, applying a slight pressure, causing Zhong Niaonianio to immediately cry out in pain. This young lady clearly looks like a lady from a distinguished family. In that case, as a lady, you should have proper upbringing. How can you point at others so casually? Lin Wn still wore that harmless smile, but the strength in her hand did not lessen. Moreover, how could you, madam, publicly spread such vile rumors to tarnish someone's innocence? Could it be? She paused, then suddenly pushed forward with force, releasing her grip in the same motion. Zhong Niaonianio, caught completely off guard, screamed as she stumbled backward, only to be clumsily caught by her maid. Could it be that the lady herself has been secretly keeping a lover behind her husband's back? Lin Wn, with a thoughtful expression, uttered a light, airy sentence that instantly drained the color from Zhong Niaonianio's face. I keenly noticed a flicker of guilt flash through her eyes. You crazy woman, what nonsense are you spouting? Zhong Niaonianio scrambled to her feet, raising her hand to strike Lin Wn. I frowned and grabbed her wrist, unable to break free. Zhong Niaonianio began to curse loudly, calling for the maids nearby to help her. Just then, a sharp shout rang out, followed by the sound of galloping hooves. What are you all doing? A man in splendid attire rode over on horseback, and the crowd that had been gathered around instantly scattered. He came before us, his gaze pausing briefly when it fell upon me. Zelen, the man called out softly, dismounted, and came to stand before me before he could say anything. Zhong Niaonianio broke free from her restraints and threw herself into the man's arms, sobbing, Your Highness, they bullied me. Zhong Niaonianio clung to Prince Qing, complaining and showing him the red marks on her wrist where I had grabbed her. Prince Qing furrowed his brow, glanced at her injury, and said in a low voice, Such a minor injury. Why are you crying, in front of so many people? How disgraceful. Zhong Niaonianio was startled by his stern rebuke and quickly stopped her sobbing, before Prince Qing could push her away. Zhong Niaonianio reluctantly stepped back, her face full of unwillingness. Zelen, how could you? Prince Qing took a step forward, wanting to ask me something, but was interrupted by the sound of horse hooves. Wife, the person hadn't yet arrived, but the voice had already reached us. I turned and spread my arms toward the source of the voice, and a figure immediately rushed into my embrace. If not for my strong core, I might have been knocked to the ground by him. Yet Chang Yuheng paid it no mind, clinging to me like a bear. Nuzzling and acting coquettishly. Lin Wn was already stunned speechless by the scene, standing to the side and watching us in astonishment. Darling, how come? You're here. Did you come especially to pick me up? With Chang Yuheng's interruption, I didn't continue to argue with Zhong Niaonianio. After bidding farewell to Prince Qing, I took Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn back to the residence. On the way back, Lin Wn clearly had many questions she wanted to ask, but she wisely kept them to herself. Thank you, Miss Lin, for earlier. Since she wasn't speaking, I decided to take the initiative. Lin Wn seemed taken aback by my gratitude, a flicker of confusion crossing her face before she quickly waved her hands. No, it was my fault for acting impulsively. I'm worried I might have caused trouble for you, sister-in-law. As if just realizing what she had done, Lin Wan's face turned slightly pale. I took her hand, and indeed, it was already ice-cold from fright. Miss Lin, there's no need to worry, there won't be any trouble. I comforted her with a few words, then brought up other matters to divert her attention. That evening, as I leaned against Chang Yuheng, I brought up the matter. Chang Yuheng was quite surprised that Lin Wn had stepped in to help me, but he quickly came to terms with it. After all, they had spent a fair amount of time together, and Chang Yuheng had come to understand some aspects of Lin Wan's character. I asked him, Since Lin Wn was his savior and had now gotten involved with Zhong Niaonianio for my sake, how did he plan to repay her? Chang Yuheng answered me without even opening his eyes. In that case, I'll ask her tomorrow if she's willing to be my sworn sister, so she won't have to worry about being bullied when she goes out in the future. After hearing him say that, I fell into a slight silence, wriggling around to turn over in his embrace. He still had his eyes closed, looking as if he was about to fall asleep. I looked up at him, and for some inexplicable reason, my mood lifted. I couldn't help but tilt my head and kiss his chin. All right, let's do as you say. Chang Yuheng didn't say a word, only tightening his arms around me. The next day, Chang Yuheng woke up early and had someone prepare the items needed for the Sworn Brotherhood ceremony. I went to find Lin Wn. She had also gotten up early and was having breakfast. Seeing me approach, she quickly stood up, but I stopped her. Keep eating. I came to discuss some matters with you. Hearing my words, Lin Wan's eyes showed a hint of nervousness, and she even slowed down her eating. I told her about taking her in as my sworn sister last night and waited for her response. Lin Wn didn't expect it to be this matter. After a slight pause, she repeated with some disbelief, "The general wants to take me as his sworn sister." "Yes, if you don't mind, you can stay in the capital as our sworn sister." After a moment's thought, I added another sentence, "If you don't wish to stay in the capital, that's also fine." After a long silence, Lin Wn suddenly set down the steamed bun in her hand, stood up, and knelt before me, uncertain what this sudden gesture meant. I quickly reached out to help her up. "Thank you, sister-in-law and general, for allowing me to stay in the capital. I will rely on your care from now on." This was her agreement. I quickly stood up to help her rise, telling her there was no need for such formality between us. As soon as Lin Wn agreed, I had the prepared documents sent to the palace. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn had no parents, so there was no need to inform any relatives. I served as the witness, and according to the rules and rituals, the ceremony was completed on the same day. In the evening, Eunuch Li came to deliver wedding gifts and brought a message. "Madam Du, His Majesty requests your presence at the palace tomorrow at the hour of Sai." I frowned, not really wanting to go, but I knew there was no escaping it. What is meant to come will come sooner or later. There's no avoiding it. The Emperor holds court at the hour of the rabbit, 5 to 7 a.m., and meets with ministers in the imperial study at the hour of the dragon, 7 to 9 a.m. The hour of the snake, 9 to 11 a.m., is usually reserved for reviewing memorials. I wonder what he wants with me, something more important than state affairs. Without waiting for the palace to send someone to fetch me, I rode straight to the imperial palace. The guards at the gate intended to stop me, but upon seeing it was me, they hurriedly opened the gates to let me in. I rode all the way to the front of the imperial study, where Chief Eunuch Li, who had been waiting at the entrance, quickly had someone come to take my horse. He was about to announce my arrival, but I pushed the door open and walked right in. Inside, the person reviewing the memorials paused his movements, then looked up. Upon seeing it was me, he furrowed his brows, a hint of helplessness on his face. He waved his hand, dismissing the anxious Eunuch Li. Before speaking, "Aunt, next time you come, please have someone announce you first, otherwise, he really would have been scared to death." I sat to the side, ignoring what he had just said, and took a sip of tea. "Speak, what do you need from me?" The Emperor sighed. Seemingly accustomed to my manner, he set down the pen in his hand, adopting a posture as if ready for a heart-to-heart conversation. "Aunt, what happened yesterday?" "What do you mean, what happened?" I put down my teacup, refusing to take the bait. The Emperor looked at me without speaking, and after a long while, he finally sighed. Enough, enough. This matter was indeed Zhong's fault from the start. He intended to let it pass. But whether he could let it pass depended on whether I agreed or not. "Oh, that matter concerning Lady Zhong," I said meaningfully, setting down the teacup in my hand. "Lady Zhong has repeatedly provoked me with her words, even going so far as to point at my nose and curse me in public. Such behavior is unbecoming of royal decorum and deserves punishment." The Emperor frowned, and after a long while, finally nodded. He didn't mention anything else, so I assumed he had nothing to say and stood up to leave. Only then did he speak urgently. Aunt." Seeing me stop, the emperor seemed to have made some kind of decision and spoke in a low voice. "The northern army is pressing in. Shu Muting has held out for half a month, but is about to reach his limit. Shu Muting is the most formidable general of our dynasty, both brave and resourceful, having never lost a battle, earning him the title of the ever-victorious general. Even he is struggling to hold on, which shows the formidable strength of the Northern Frontiers forces. But what does this have to do with me? I am now merely a general's wife. When my husband goes off to war, I can only stay behind in the capital, unable to do anything, especially when it comes to others. What does this have to do with me?" With those words, I turned to leave. The emperor stood up in a panic. "If Shu Muting cannot hold on, and the northern pass falls, the great Qi will be in grave danger." "Aunt." I stopped in my tracks but did not turn to look at him. The emperor stood by my side, gazing at me with eyes that were almost pleading. Suddenly, the words the late emperor left me at his deathbed echoed in my mind. "Zelen, promise me, unless the nation faces a dire crisis, do not leave the capital, stay by Chenna's side. You must help me protect him." Chenna is the current emperor. When the late emperor passed away, the emperor was only 8 years old. Faced with the covetous ministers and imperial relatives, he had no ability to protect himself. It was I who guarded him day and night, protected him, helped him intimidate the court, and stabilized his power, allowing him to grow safely until the age of 18. At that time, I was only 15 years old. I thought that once the emperor came of age, I could finally rest. But that imperial decree restricted my freedom. I've resented, I've been angry, but what can be done? I shouldn't have agreed to that old man back then. Thinking of this, my anger flares up uncontrollably. The emperor seems to have noticed my emotional turmoil, pursing his lips, not daring to make a sound. I didn't look at him. Raising my hand to open the door, the midday sunlight poured in, spilling over my body, warm and gentle. "The weather is truly lovely." I sighed with emotion. The emperor was stunned, offering no reply. I ignored him and walked out. "Auntie, I hope the weather will still be this nice when we come back." When I got home, it happened to be lunchtime, and Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn were waiting for me. "By the way, dear, tomorrow evening is the palace banquet. I had Guixiang make you a new dress. Why don't you try it on later?" Chang Yuheng said eagerly as he served me more food. I was taken aback for a moment before it dawned on me. That's right. Tomorrow is the palace banquet to celebrate Chang Yuheng's triumphant return. Logically speaking, I should have gone with him, but the northern front is tense, and I have to leave today. At this thought, my resentment toward the old man and the emperor grew even deeper. In the imperial study, the emperor, who was reviewing memorials, suddenly sneezed. Eunuch Li was so startled he wanted to call for the imperial physician, but the emperor stopped him. "No need, it's probably my aunt cursing me." The emperor wiped his nose and went back to reviewing memorials as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, I casually agreed to Chang Yuheng's request, thought for a moment, and then ordered new clothes to be made for Lin Wn as well. "Sister-in-law, I don't need it." Lin Wn wanted to refuse, but I cut her off. "You are now our younger sister, a young lady of the general's mansion. You should have a few new outfits made." Hearing me say this, Lin Wn didn't refuse any further and agreed with a smile. After lunch, I went back to my bedroom to pack my things. Chang Yuheng, sensing something unusual, followed me. Seeing me packing, a flicker of panic crossed his face. "Wife, what are you packing for? Are you going back to your parents' home? You don't need to bring this much just for that." I gave him a somewhat helpless look. Where would I have a family home to return to? My parents passed away early, and I was raised by my master. The emperor calls me aunt, but that's only out of respect for the late emperor. As for my relationship with the late emperor, it was simply because we were fellow disciples under the same master. "I'm going to the northern frontier. You stay home and keep an eye on things. I'll be back soon," I answered his questions while packing. Feeling the stiffness in Chang Yuheng's body beside me, I sighed inwardly and stopped to hug him. "Darling, are you going to the northern frontier? Can't you not go? We've only just reunited." His voice was choked with tears, as if he were about to cry. The next second I touched his face, wiping away the tears from the corner of his eye. "I have to go. Shu Muting won't last much longer. Don't worry, I'll be back in less than 2 months. 2 months is too long." Chang Yuheng pouted in dissatisfaction. But just the journey alone would take half a month. 2 months really wasn't that long. Alright, be a good boy. I ruffled his hair and continued packing my luggage. Chang Yuheng stood by like a lost puppy that had been abandoned, watching me pack. He knew there was no way to stop me, but he couldn't bear to let me go. Before leaving, I suddenly remembered something. Take Wanna to the palace banquet tomorrow. Introduce her to everyone so that no one dares to bully her in the future. I've really grown fond of Lin Wn during these past few days of getting to know her. Since I've taken her as my adopted sister, it's only natural that I protect her and ensure no one mistreats her. Chang Yuheng also understood and nodded in agreement, accepting the task. Only after giving these instructions did I feel at ease to set off for the northern frontier. I had thought I would return home in 2 months, but little did I know that by the time I made it back to the capital, half a year had already passed. What I never expected even more was that I was pregnant. The situation on the northern frontier cannot be described merely as tense. It was a complete rout. The enemy had somehow managed to acquire a herd of elephants, driving them to the front lines to serve as a moving defensive wall, while they hid behind, firing cold arrows. Countless of our soldiers perished under the elephants' feet. Not to mention the fierce combat with the enemy forces. Many soldiers were scattered by the elephant herd, and it was unknown whether they were alive or dead. Even worse news was that Shu Muting had also gone missing. By the time I arrived at the northern frontier, morale could no longer be described as merely low. Everywhere was filled with a lifeless gloom, as if the battle had already been lost, and they were just sitting there waiting to die. I have followed my master onto the battlefield, leading troops, and witnessed countless horrors, yet I was still stunned by the scene before me. My master once said that if an army lacks even the morale to fight a single battle, it is as good as dead. What I must do now is to lift the soldiers' morale, and the most direct way is to win, but winning is far from easy. After consulting with several veteran generals in the army, I immediately issued several military orders. First, we must strengthen our defenses and avoid engaging in battle for the time being. Then, I ordered people to find some thick logs and large stones, sharpen the logs overnight, and transport them along with the stones to the city walls. I also instructed people to coat several of the stones with fire oil, just in case. After completing these tasks, there are still 2 most important things to do. The first is to find Shu Muting, and the second is to find a way to destroy the elephant herd. Neither of these tasks is easy to accomplish, but no matter how difficult they are, they must be done. I brought an elite force with me when I came. This elite force does not belong to the royal family, nor to the nation. It belongs solely to me. This was left to me by my master. I sent a few men to search for Shu Muting's whereabouts, while I took the remaining few to find a way to destroy the enemy's elephant herd. By the time these 2 matters were settled, 2 months had already passed, and I, when the enemy attacked, was accidentally injured. After being rescued, the military doctor told me that I was already over 2 months pregnant, but at that time, Shu Muting had just been found and was severely injured. Completely unable to command the army, I could only ask the military doctor to keep the news hidden and continue leading the army in the fight against the enemy. By the 4th month, Shu Muting had finally recovered and took over my position. The tide of battle had now turned. The enemy, having lost their elephant corps, were no match for us. In the end, under the leadership of Shu Muting, we successfully repelled the enemy forces. Not only did we reclaim the lost territory, but we also captured an additional city. When this news reached the capital, the emperor was overjoyed, and the imperial decree summoning me back to the capital was soon delivered. It's just that I didn't receive it. Before the imperial edict arrived, I had already set off on my journey back. I returned to the capital with a heart full of joy, looking forward to seeing Chang Yuheng as soon as possible. Little did I know that this was the outcome awaiting me. By special decree, General Chang Yuheng and Miss Lin Wn are granted marriage, to be wed on an auspicious day. I had just stepped down from the carriage when I heard the sharp, high-pitched voice of Eunuch Li. After clearly hearing what he said, I froze in place, lifting my head in disbelief to look at the people in the mansion. Eunuch Li was offering congratulations, handing the imperial edict in his hand to Chang Yuheng. Chang Yuheng remained kneeling on the ground, his figure blocked by Eunuch Li, making it impossible to see the expression on his face. Lin Wn knelt behind Chang Yuheng, her head bowed as if she hadn't yet recovered from the shock of the imperial decree. General Chang, hurry and accept the decree with thanks. This humble servant still has to return to the palace to report. The sharp, disgusting voice carried a hint of laughter, nauseating to the ear. I casually grabbed an object from the carriage and hurled it fiercely toward him. With a loud thud, Eunuch Li screamed and collapsed to the ground, clutching his bleeding head and wailing in agony. Only then did Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn snap out of their daze, looking up at me in shock. Ignoring them, I shot a fierce glare at Chang Yuheng before turning and climbing back into the carriage. To the imperial palace, the coachman immediately cracked the whip and drove the carriage toward the imperial palace. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn chased after them, wanting to explain something, but how could they possibly catch up with the carriage? My eyes were bloodshot, my eye sockets sore and tingling, as if a warm heat was welling up in the corners of my eyes. Xiang, who had accompanied me back, saw me like this and, with great sympathy, wiped away my tears to comfort me. But right now, I can't hear anything at all. My mind is consumed by a single thought. Slap the emperor hard across the face a few times. I've been fighting tooth and nail defending the city and the nation out on the frontier, and that bastard dares to take a concubine for Chang Yuheng. He really needs to be taught a lesson. The coachman didn't dare delay for a moment and soon arrived at the palace gates. The guards at the gate stopped us, refusing entry. I lifted the carriage curtain and glared at them, and they immediately stepped aside under my direction. The coachman charged recklessly, throwing the palace into chaos. Amidst a chorus of screams and angry shouts, we came to a steady halt right at the entrance of the Empress's bedchamber. At that moment, the Emperor, the Empress, and several concubines were sitting together, engaged in conversation. Although the commotion outside could be heard, the person sent to inquire had not yet returned to report. I leaped down from the carriage, and the moment I stepped into the bedchamber, a gust of wind swept out from beneath my feet. The Emperor seemed to sense that something was amiss and rose to leave, but I grabbed him by the collar. Slap, 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 slap. With one hand gripping the Emperor's collar, I slapped him hard several times with the other. The Empress and concubines screamed in terror, but I kicked them to the ground and stomped on them a few more times, silencing them instantly. Auntie, please don't. The Emperor's face, swollen high from my beating, wanted to speak but couldn't form the words clearly. I grabbed him by the neck and lifted him from the ground. I really gave you too much face, sending me to guard the border while you take concubines for my man here. Who are you trying to disgust? Have you forgotten who your grandma is after just 3 days without a beating? The Emperor's face turned purple from my choking, his hands gripping my fingers, trying to struggle free. Wife, a familiar voice came from behind, and immediately I was pulled into someone's embrace. Chang Yuheng trembled all over as he held me tightly, his breathing by my ear particularly rapid. Darling, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I've missed you so much. He wasn't frightened by my frenzied state, nor did he try to persuade me. He simply kept expressing how much he had missed me. My rage, which had reached its peak, gradually subsided under his soothing words. My grip on the Emperor loosened, and he instantly fell to the ground, gasping for breath in a pitiful state. I let Chang Yuheng hold me, as if all my strength had been drained away, and I remained silent. The surroundings were filled with noise, but I couldn't hear anything. A buzzing filled my ears, and then everything went dark before my eyes, and I knew nothing more. When I woke up, I was already lying in bed at the general's mansion. Chang Yuheng sat worriedly by the bedside. Seeing me awake, he hurried over to help me up. Darling, how are you feeling? Are you thirsty? Would you like some water? He helped me sit up, and as my gaze fell on the teacup, Chang Yuheng immediately brought it over. After drinking 2 cups of tea in a row, I finally felt my throat begin to recover, but right now, I didn't feel like speaking. Chang Yuheng didn't press me further, just kept chattering on about what happened afterward. After I fainted, the eunuch called for the imperial physician. The Empress wanted to have us thrown into prison, But the emperor stopped her. The imperial physician examined him and determined his injuries weren't too serious, though speaking and eating would be difficult until the swelling on his face went down. After writing the prescription, the imperial physician was ordered by the emperor to examine my condition. Naturally, I was not seriously ill, I had simply fainted from a sudden surge of anger and anxiety. At the same time, the imperial physician also revealed that I was pregnant. I had instructed Shu Muting and the others to keep this matter a secret, not telling anyone about it. Very few people in the army knew about it, let alone Chang Yuheng and the others who were far away in the capital. "Darling, why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" Chang Yuheng gently stroked my slightly swollen belly, his tone filled with affection yet tinged with reproach. Leaning against the headboard, I didn't answer him, just kept looking at him. Chang Yuheng always seems to know what's on my mind. He shifted his gaze from my belly and met my eyes. "Darling, I really don't know what's going on with this arranged marriage. We're completely innocent, you know. Our younger sister has partnered with someone to open a medical clinic. She's usually so busy that I hardly ever see her." Chang Yuheng chattered on, recounting everything that had happened after I left. After I left, Lin Wn learned some things about me from Chang Yuheng. She admired me as a capable woman and felt she should also achieve something like me, so she proposed opening a small medicine shop in the capital. Both of Lin Wan's parents were physicians, and through constant exposure, she had learned a great deal. While she wouldn't dare claim to cure illnesses, she was absolutely certain she wouldn't make any mistakes in dispensing prescriptions. Chang Yuheng thought this was a good idea and took her to look for a suitable shop. In the process, they met Dr. Shu, who had just arrived in the capital. Lin Wn and Dr. Shu hit it off immediately. Upon learning that he wanted to open a medical clinic in the capital, the two of them decided to go into partnership. At this point, Chang Yuheng suddenly wore a look of gossip, mixed with a hint of mystery. "Let me tell you, my dear, there's definitely something going on between them. The way Dr. Shu looks at Lin Wn is exactly the same way I look at you." He was speaking with great enthusiasm, but I no longer wanted to listen. "I don't know if it's because of the pregnancy, but I always feel extremely tired." Seeing me close my eyes, Chang Yuheng stopped talking, carefully helped me lie down on the bed. After I fell into a deep sleep, he got up to leave. But just as he turned to go, I grabbed his sleeve. Chang Yuheng paused in his movements and took off his own coat. The weight in my hands suddenly vanished, my chest tightened, and my eyes grew warm. But soon, I felt someone tiptoe onto the bed and carefully lie down on the inner side. A familiar scent enveloped me, bringing an unprecedented sense of peace. It was as if all the pent-up emotions of a long time had erupted at this moment. I couldn't help but bury my face in his embrace. Softly sobbing, Chang Yuheng didn't say a word, only held me tighter, his large hand stroking my back again and again, offering warm comfort. Another half-month passed, and someone from the palace came to invite me, Chang Yuheng, and Lin Wn into the palace. This time, it wasn't Eunuch Li who came. Perhaps he had been frightened by me last time and didn't dare to come again. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn looked at me, as if seeking my opinion. I had no particular thoughts. After finishing breakfast, I followed them onto the palace carriage. Seeing this, the two of them quickly followed suit. The carriage swayed and jolted. I leaned against Chang Yuheng, closing my eyes to rest. For the past half-month, the emperor hasn't sought me out, and neither has anyone else. The incident of slapping the emperor in the palace earlier seems as if it never happened. As for what's been happening outside and within the palace, Chang Yuheng has told me quite a bit. Shu Muting defeated the enemy forces and soon received their surrender letter. The emperor was overjoyed and summoned him back to the capital to report on his mission. The empress was placed under house arrest, and of the consorts I had kicked to the ground. That day, some were sent to nunneries, while others were confined to the cold palace. I heard that the emperor would bestow a marriage upon Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn, all because he believed their lies, but I always felt things wouldn't be that simple. I know the emperor's character well. He wouldn't risk offending me by arranging their marriage just because of the words of a few consorts in the harem. There must be other reasons behind this. I have a feeling that I will find out the reason today. The carriage did not stop after entering the palace gates and continued forward until it halted in front of the main hall. Chang Yuheng helped me down from the carriage, and several eunuchs approached with a sedan chair. I didn't stand on ceremony at all, directly sitting down and letting them carry me inside. Normally, at this hour, the morning court session should have already ended, and the ministers should have returned to their respective duties, but today was clearly different. All the court officials were present, the emperor sat on the high throne, and from afar, seeing me being carried in, he hurriedly rose to his feet. The palanquin was set down steadily in the center of the great hall, but I did not rise, remaining seated upon it. Chang Yuheng and Lin Wn stood on either side of me, like two guards. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward, until the emperor cleared his throat lightly, breaking the silence. I have heard that Lady Du performed valiantly on the battlefield, not only single-handedly crushing the enemy's elephant troops but also locating General Shu, who had been missing for many days. He spoke while stealing glances at me, as if afraid that his words might displease me. I looked at him expressionlessly, waiting for him to continue. Shu Muting had already told him in detail about what happened on the battlefield, and now he was simply going to praise me in front of all the ministers. Some time ago, I heard that General Chang and Miss Lin were deeply in love. Considering that Miss Lin was someone Madame Du approved of, I thought General Chang intended to take Miss Lin as a concubine. Which is why I issued the decree for the marriage, he was explaining, but I didn't want to listen. I sneered coldly, looking at him with mockery. On the 5th day of the 3rd month this year, my husband and Miss Lin became sworn siblings. Recognizing her as his adopted sister, that very morning, I sent someone to deliver the official document to the palace. What, did your majesty not receive it? I was giving him a way out, but I never expected that he would actually change expression slightly, furrowing his brows and asking me if it was true or false. Upon learning that what I said was true, the emperor's face instantly turned grim, but he didn't say much more, only excusing himself by saying there were too many official documents. Perhaps he hadn't noticed. I didn't say anything further either. He called me to the palace precisely to reward me publicly, and also to explain the events that had occurred recently. After all, he was a child I had raised with my own hands. He didn't want to hurt me over a misunderstanding. Before leaving, I glanced back at the emperor seated on the high throne. After our eyes met, I turned and walked away. From then on, I could truly let go. After returning home, I settled into a peaceful life of nurturing the child in my womb. To make up for what had happened before, the emperor sent many fine things and even arranged for a royal physician to take care of me. Not long after the misunderstanding between Lin Wan and me was cleared up, she proposed moving out. I tried to persuade her to stay a few times, but eventually let her go. However, she often came back to visit me. That Dr. Shu would sometimes accompany her on these visits, mostly to discuss medical theories with the imperial physician. He seemed like a reliable man. With the matchmaking efforts of Chang Yuheng and myself, the two were married not long after. Now, the couple runs a small clinic, and their life is quite happy. In late autumn, a major event occurred in the capital. Prince Qing was accused of plotting a rebellion, arrested, and imprisoned. His mansion was raided, and all his family members were implicated and sent to the execution ground. This naturally included Zhong Niaonianio. I heard she had already gone mad by the time she was captured. With many old scars on her body, clear signs of having been tortured for a long time. Who knows what she had been through during that period? The emperor dealt with Prince Qing's followers with swift and decisive measures, but when it came to handling Prince Qing himself, he showed mercy. After all, he is of royal blood. The emperor showed a sliver of mercy to Prince Qing. He confined Prince Qing to the imperial mausoleum, forcing him to guard the late emperor's remains day and night as atonement for his crimes. Before being taken away, Prince Qing requested to see me, and the emperor agreed. Since I was nearing childbirth and it was inconvenient for me to enter the prison to see him, the emperor arranged for us to meet at the pavilion by Clear Breeze Lake. He looked quite haggard in my memory. He always carried himself with an air of nobility, as if everything was within his grasp, including me. Prince Qing likes me, I know, but I don't like him. He is an obsessive man. If he can't have me, he frantically seeks out those who resemble me. Princess Qing, Zhong Niaonianio, and the other consorts and concubines all bear some resemblance to me, yet he forbids others from offending me, so when he saw Zhong Niaonianio disrespect me in public, he tormented her, driving her to madness. He said that after learning about Lin Wn from Zhong Niaonianio's mouth, he decided to have the emperor arrange a marriage for Chang Yuheng, hoping to provoke me and push me closer to Chang Yuheng. He said he calculated that I would return early and timed the emperor's decree precisely to provoke me. He said that not being able to have me was his regret, and he would pray at the imperial mausoleum for me and Chang Yuheng to separate as soon as possible. After I slapped him hard several times, he finally behaved. I don't know why he fell for me. Perhaps this is the trouble of having too much charm. Watching the carriage carrying Prince Qing depart, I turned around and saw Chang Yuheng waiting for me not far away. I waved to him, and he ran toward me with a smile. Suddenly, a sharp, intense pain shot through my abdomen. Instantly, my expression twisted in agony as I clutched my stomach and crouched down. Oh no, this child is coming early. Hurry, call Wanna to deliver my baby. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.